We're going to make pasta the old-fashioned way. Hello family, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I am Vicky and you're with Grammy in the kitchen. So we're going to make pasta by hand, rolling it out by hand and cutting it. We're not going to use no machines or anything. I do have my eye on a pasta maker. You know, you put the flour, the eggs, the oil, the water, all the things, and it blends it for you and it pushes out the pasta shapes that you want. But I just can't see myself dropping $300 on something that we can do ourselves. We do have a KitchenAid attachment that makes flat noodles like lasagna. It'll make like a spaghetti noodle and it makes ravioli. But what I really want is something to make a tubed pasta, you know, like macaroni or penne or something. That's really the only reason I want the machine. But I don't need pasta, but we're going to make it anyway. Why not? Let's just do it. So we have our flour. I have some eggs, oil, and salt. Add a little bit of water to get everything put together, and then we can roll it out. Come on a little closer, let's get this started. Now, we could put it on our bench right here and do all the blending that way, but I like starting it off in a bowl. So this is just some all-purpose flour. I want to put my salt in here, so I have 4 cups of flour. I'm going to put a good pinch of salt. Mix that in really well. And we'll make a well right here in the center. We're going to start with 6 eggs. Two tablespoons of olive oil. We're going to whisk the eggs and the oil together. Slowly incorporate some of that flour. And we're only going to add water if we need the water. Change to a rubber spatula. Just, you know it ain't Grammy unless we're making a mess. Okay, let's get in there with our hands. We're going to mix it until we get a cohesive ball. Let's start adding some water in it, a little bit at a time. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over on the bench. Now I'm going to knead it really well. Look at that beautiful color from those eggs. Oh, it's gorgeous. think it needs just a little bit more water. You want to make sure your surface is cleaned really well. I did that before y'all got here, but it is good and clean. It's a little too stiff. I might just a little bit more water. Knead that in. It's a little sticky now, so we're going to knead that in really well. Alright, I think that is good. Pick all my bits and pieces. I'll put some flour down. Let me wash my hands. Cover it with plastic wrap, just so it doesn't dry out. Alright, I'm going to leave it right here for a minimum of 30 minutes. Why do we let our dough rest right before we roll it out? Well, the reason is we're using an all-purpose flour, and there's a lot of gluten in it. So we need to let that gluten relax after we kneaded it so that we can roll it out and it doesn't try to spring back together. So it's been 30 minutes. We're going to cut it up into portions and roll them out into little pieces. I would love to have penne, but I don't know how to make penne per se. I will work on that so that we don't have to buy a machine. But right now we're just going to make fettuccinis and linguinis. I'm not a big fan of spaghetti, so it's probably going to be more fettuccine and linguine, which is a flat, thin pasta. Linguine, it's really small. It's pretty much spaghetti that's rolled out. And then fettuccine is a wide pasta. But let's go ahead and get started on rolling this out. It's been 30 minutes. I think I'm going to divide mine into 6. I think that'd be a good size to roll out. So I'm going to take one piece and wrap everything else back up. Move that off to the side. Put some flour down on our bench. I'll flatten it out just a bit. And now we're going to start rolling. And we want to roll it really thin. Make sure it stays well floured. I have a little thing of flour right here for us. Make sure it's not sticking anywhere. I'm trying to make it long, like regular pasta you buy at the store. It is a beautiful yellow color. That's from those fresh eggs I get every week. Anything worth eating, it's worth making. Can you see how gorgeous that is? I think that is long enough. Now this is one of those tapered rolling pins, so I want to make sure that the ends are also getting rolled out. I think that is thin enough. I want to put a good amount of flour on both sides. And if I had to guess, I'm not even sure how thick that is. It's really thin. I'm not sure if you can see that. But I'm going to roll it up, not tight. And then I'm just going to take a knife and cut them about 1/4 of an inch. This is fettuccine. Now we're going to unroll them. I have the large baking sheet with parchment paper. I'm going to give it a good sprinkle of flour. I want to toss our pasta with some more flour. So that's part of our dough. I'm going to put half of this as fettuccine and the other half I'm going to make linguine. And once I get to the linguine part, I'll show you how we're going to cut that. So let me finish the fettuccine part and then bring you right back when we're ready to make linguine. So we have our fettuccine right here. We'll sprinkle a little bit more flour and make sure they don't stick together. I'm going to cover it with a kitchen towel, and this is a clean kitchen towel. Parchment paper on top of that. More flour. And now we're going to be making linguine, which is a thinner pasta. And we're going to roll it out just like we did with the fettuccine, really, really thin. And I like going long ways to get it to the length I want before I worry about going to the width. The length can be determined how you want your pasta, whether you have small children and you want smaller pasta, you're trying to feed a crowd, any way you want to do it. That's the good thing about making homemade pasta. You can make it to fit your family's needs. Right now I'm going to go to the width of it. And I want this a little bit thinner than we made the fettuccine. Alright, so I think I'm going to roll it this way, because that's a good length right there. So I'll put some flour. Oh, I think I need to put flour on the back side. Roll it up. We're not rolling it tight. And we're going to cut these probably about 1/8 of an inch. Just take your time. Toss it with some flour. Put it on air prepared baking sheet over here. And continue. Alright, let me go ahead and get this one finished cutting up. Put it on the pan. Roll out the last 2 dough balls we have over there. And then I'm going to let them dry. And that's going to take a couple days. Once they're dry, we're going to weigh it to see if we got a good amount with 4 cups of flour, 6 eggs, the oil, and the water. Yes, this is time consuming. I love doing things like this in the kitchen. It's so rewarding. Look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? Okay, we've got it all rolled out. So that's more of a linguine. Another linguine. And a fettuccine. And I have a dish towel on top. Parchment paper on the bottom. And I'm just going to leave it right here on the island until they dry completely. I want them to dry so that when you bend the pasta, it's going to make a snap, not just bend, but but snap apart, then we'll know it's ready to be put away. Because we're using raw eggs and oil, we need to make sure they are completely dry before we put them in Ziploc bags to put them in our storage. Eggs and oil will go bad, will go rancid, and we don't want to waste the time and the ingredients we just did to make 3 layers of pasta. We want to make sure they're going to be completely dry. Once they're dry, I'm going to weigh it to see what our yield will be with 4 cups of flour and 6 eggs, the oil, the salt, and the water. So I will see you probably 4 or 5 days. We're just going to leave it right here. So the pasta that we made last week has been sitting on this table on this baking sheet for 6 days. Let's check and see if it's dry. So this is the one that we ate the night we made pasta. So we ate this layer of pasta. You'll see that video on Saturday. So I have 2 gallon size Ziploc bags because we made 2 different kind of pastas. Oh yeah, they are dry. Perfect. I'm just going to go ahead and break them in half. This is our linguine. So we made a mistake. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. Having the wet pasta in layers, no air was able to flow. So we lost a whole tray of fettuccine. Lesson learned, move on. So we need to figure out a better way to dry the pasta. Now the top layer did fine because all it had was a piece of some dish towel on top, so air was able to flow, but the bottom layer actually had a kitchen towel plus a parchment paper, so air was not able to flow and it molded. Lesson learned, we lost some pasta. Yes, it is devastating. Learning things in the kitchen will have failure and success. But each failure is a lesson learned and we move on. But I'm curious to see how much linguine we have. It came up to be 8 ounces. Plus we ate some linguine with dinner and I threw away the fettuccine. We're going to start new next week, family, and we're going to figure out a new way to dry pasta. So I hope you find value in this video. You can make homemade pasta with basic ingredients. We just got to do better at drying it, but we need to figure out a way to dry it better. I have plans in my head on how we can do that, but we'll deal with that next week. So until next time, y'all have a blessed day. Bye, family.